Hey everybody, it's Banner Terrell. I'm back again going to do another video. This time I'm going to be talking about Substance Designer and how to use it to create PBR materials for Second Life rapidly. And I'm going to provide this. I'll put it out and make it available to people so that you can use it. If you have Substance Designer, you'll be able to use it. And you'll be able to use this to generate materials for your projects for when you don't have a model. So if you buy a prefab, off marketplace, and it's just a mesh model that you have, but you don't have any DAE file or OBJ file so that you can use it in another program. They give you is like the mesh model and a shadow map or an ambient occlusion file, an AO file, and that's it. And I did a couple of other videos. If you've been following me, you've been watching me struggle with this concept since PBR come out, about how to make this as simple and easy as possible. And I came up with a whole bunch of different interesting techniques, shortcuts, hacks to do some basic stuff, some really cool stuff. But you had to do a lot of work in Photoshop or GIMP or something else, and you had to do a bunch of stuff to get to the point where you could produce these files. And even then, the results weren't stunning. They were okay, they're good, but they weren't as good as they were if you were directly in, say, Substance Painter. But I came upon a way to do this in Substance Designer far more easily, faster, with better results. And that's what I'm going to show you how to use today. So I'm going to talk about Substance Designer. I'm going to show you how to create this thing for yourself and what the nodes in it mean and what they do. I'll break that all down. And then I'll just show you, if you don't care about this, if you just want to use it, I'll show you how to use it to create all the materials that you need for Second Life. So let's go ahead and get started with that. All right, so we're going to switch over. There we go. This is Substance Designer from Adobe, and it is a node-based system to create materials and textures for 3D programs. And you can use it to create all kinds of different things, and it's super, super powerful. It's very similar to working with materials inside of the shader in Blender, but I think it's way more advanced and way more capable. But I could be wrong. I'm not an expert on these things, but I find it amazing what you can do. And it works smoothly with Substance Painter, so you can create smart materials and you can create a whole bunch of stuff in here. Generators, all kinds of things that you then use in Substance Painter to paint to your objects. But you can also use it to output texture files. And so for Second Life, that's all we really need is texture files that we can then import to create our materials. And so I went through this whole thing with teaching you how to use Substance Painter with your AOs to fake it out, to think that, it kind of has a 3D model, but not really has a 3D model, to sort of apply the materials properly, but not exactly. And I think this way is cleaner and better and doesn't go to all that trouble and just creates materials that you can then apply. So I think you'll find this way to be far simpler and far easier once you do it, and then way faster too. So, okay, let's talk about this. So for PBR in Second Life, you need you need four things. And those four things are a base color texture, a normal texture, what we call an ORM texture, which is an occlusion, roughness, metallic map, which is 3 different grayscale maps combined together into one RGB image. And then the fourth one is called an emissive map. And that's if you have some kind of glow or you want it to like have light coming out of it. That's what emissive maps are for. And for the thing that we're working on today, which is back over here in Second Life, which is this chair. This is a chair from Surge that I bought in 2017. And I wanted to redo its textures to be more modern, to use a PBR, and to do both Blinn Phong and PBR at the same time. And in fact, we can do this technique. I can add Blinn Phong functionality into this too. So you only have to do 2 little things and you would get all of the textures you need for both Blinn Phong. And maybe that's something we can do in this at the end of the video. I can show you how to add Blinn Phong. Okay, so I just wanted to create some PBR materials for this chair. And this chair has 4 AO files that were provided. They are the 4 of them. There's one for the feet, one for these things that look in the front of this look like studs. They call them nails. And then there's one for the base, which is the arms here, and maybe another part, I don't know. And then there's a cushion, there's a thing for like the seat cushions. There's an AO for that, which works for the base here, the seat here, and the back here. Those all 3 have the same, if you look at it, when you go to select face, this one, and this one use the same AO. This uses a different AO. The nails uses a different AO, and the feet uses a different AO. So 4 AOs. And what happened was, I was playing around with this, trying to do the technique that I did a video on the other day using Substance Painter with the AOs, and I wanted to put this texture, except the texture didn't look like this when I wanted to do it. It was much, the red thing was way bigger. I wanted to put that on here and go through that process to put that material on the chair, and I did, and it looked okay. But then I thought, you know, I used to be able to go into Photoshop and take this image and convert it into a normal file so that I could put that normal in here and make it look like that red pattern was slightly raised above the black. So I thought, oh, I'd like to do that. That would make it look a lot better. How can I do that? Because they removed that feature from Photoshop. You can't do that anymore in Photoshop. It used to be in the filters and it's gone. So I asked Adobe, hey, you took this feature away. How am I supposed to do this? And they said, well, you know, you can always do that in Adobe Substance Designer, which costs more money. You have to spend more money, right? Of course. So I'm like, okay, well, how do I do that? And I figured it out. Okay. So that started the process. Just to create a normal. And then once I started playing with the normal, I thought, well, heck, I'm one step away from having the base color that matches the normal without having to go back to Photoshop and doing a bunch of resizing and stuff. So why don't I just have this output the base color image? And then I thought, you know, while I'm at it, I could have it generate the ORM. And I don't have to go make it in Photoshop and then take it over into Substance Painter and do all that stuff. I can just have it make the ORM here. And then I thought, wait a minute. If I'm having it make the base color, the normal, and the ORM, it just made the PBR material. Can I just export it as a PBR material and import it into Second Life? And the answer is no. Of course not. Because Adobe doesn't give you a GLB exporter. You can export it, but you can only export the materials. So you can export the base color material, you can export the normal material, and you can export the ORM material. But then you have to import them into something like GLTF Packer, which would put them together and create your PBR material and your GLB to upload into Second Life. Or you take them all into Substance Painter and do a bunch of convoluted stuff to get them to come right back up as a PBR material. Or you don't do any of that. You just import the materials into Second Life and create your own PBR material. In fact, you could get by with just creating one material and then copying and pasting it and then just changing what's in it. So you don't need GLTF Packer, because by not doing it that way, you actually have way more flexibility by making the materials in Second Life. So the solution to this problem is we narrowed it down and eliminated it to one piece of software is all you need, Substance Designer. You don't need anything else. You don't need Photoshop. You don't need GIMP. You don't need Substance Painter. You don't need GLTF Packer. You don't need Materialize. You don't need anything. You just need one program. And you take your 2D images, you drop them into Substance Designer, you connect a couple things, and you export your materials, and you just do it. And okay, so we're going to show you how to do that. All right, so we're going to jump back into Substance Designer. So the first thing I wanted to do there was I wanted to create the normal, right? So in order to get a normal out of Substance Designer, you have to use a thing called an output node. So this is called your graph. So when you create a new project, you're going to come in here and you'll have a graph and it'll be empty. And there won't be anything in here. And so what we're going to do is I should probably do that, but I'm not. So we just come in here, anywhere, it doesn't matter, right click to add node and pick output node. You have to have an output node to get your output, to export it and get your material files, your texture files out. So you're going to do that. And here's your output node. And then we want this to be 2048 by 2048. So we set that to 2048 by 2048. Because I think that's set by the project. When I created the project, it asked me what the resolution was, and I created that because it didn't ask me to do 2048 by 48 now. It just did. And then you can give this a name, like this one's called normal, and this says output. That's because right up here in the parameters on the right, it says output. You just click in there, select output, and you can change the name to normal. All right. It's probably going to say there already is a normal. Okay, but that's all you do. So you just take that. And that's how that got here. So I'm going to delete this one. So this was just, I did right click, add node, output, clicked on it, changed the name to normal. Oh, and then down here, there's a thing called usage. I forgot about that. You have to click this add item right here. And when you click it, it gives you a list. And like this, I don't need the second one. I only need the first one. And then you pick what components you want. And so in this case, I want RGBA. So I pick RGBA. You could do RGB, RG, RGAB, or the one that's alpha. This is red, green, blue, and alpha. So that's the one you want. And then what am I using this for? What's it going to be used for? It's going to be used to create the normal in a PBR material. Notice this does not have the ORM. It has ambient occlusion, but it doesn't have an ORM in here. I don't know why. Maybe it has something to do with the way I created this project when I started it. I don't know. I'll figure that out later. But okay, so you just pick normal. And that's what I think makes this a little better than the ORM, because the ORM does that. And then color space, it says C8 there. I think we go linear. Might change it to L8 or something. Doesn't matter. I don't think that really matters. So that's what this is. So this is say, okay, I want to have an output called a normal. Now, that doesn't make it a normal. It doesn't know what a normal is. It's just saying, I know how to generate a PNG, a JPEG, whatever other formats there are, TIFF, right? That's what this node does. This node is what creates the output that you do when you export this. So you have to have that node. So don't get confused and think, oh, it's already a normal. It's not. It's just whatever it got fed. It's just for output. I need to add a node that will create a normal. Well, for that, there's a node called normal. So you just go add, and then you pick normal. And you get the normal node. Okay? And then you just make sure it's... Normally with this, you just make sure that the resolution up here is set to input times 1, because that's going to use whatever it got fed. But you want to make sure that your resolution is consistent throughout the entire graph that we're creating. So when you see it at the bottom of these nodes, it says 2048 by 2048. You want to make sure they all say that. If they don't, you need to start looking around and try to figure out why it doesn't. And it's either that the output has been explicitly set somewhere, or some of these scale factors up here, the output size, have been adjusted by mistake. But it should say the same. So you just want it to be consistent. And then all you do is you click on this little white dot right here, and you drag the line over to where you want the output to go, which is this normal. So I'm saying the output of my normal node, this is so weird. The output of my normal node goes to the input of my output node, which is called normal. Okay, remember, this is not really a normal. This is just the output to be used as a normal. This is what generates the normal, the one on the left. So the output of the normal generator gets fed into my output node. Okay, but it's just a blank normal at this point. It has no characteristic. There's nothing, there's no data in it. It's just blank, which means it's going to be flat. We have to feed that with an image. And the image we want to feed it with is this image here. which I don't know why it's not showing me the image there. No, that's not what I want. View in, I don't know. There it is. Again, Substance Designer has some weird issues where, and some of it's things I just don't know. But yeah. Okay, so I have this image that I brought in from my inventory. So I had this image, and this is the one I want to put on the chair. This is just a simple 2D image that I got on Marketplace and then downloaded to my PC. And so I have a folder called Pictures. It's in there. And then I went and found it, and I dragged it and dropped it. I dragged it and dropped it right over there. And that's all it is. But you notice it's 512 by 512. And that's not going to work. So I have to click on it, then go to its properties, and there's an output size up here. So we're going to drag that over to 2048 by 2048. Then we have to do it for both the width and the height. So now it's 2048 by 2048. And so we can try to then take the output of our bitmap and connect it to the normal. Uh-oh, there's a red dotted line. Red dotted line means they're the wrong format. So this node cannot accept this RGB color input or output. So this output doesn't work with this input. That's what this red dotted line means. Because if you go look at what this normal does, it only takes grayscale. So you have a couple of options. So we can click on this and then change it to grayscale here in the properties. And now the line turned to a gray, which means grayscale. Orange means color. Gray solid line, which means it works. And so if you look at your normal now has data in it. And if you look down here, you can see what the 2D value of this is by clicking on this node and then saying view output in 2D view. So now I'm looking at this node down here as opposed to the one we had before. And you can see it has the pattern in it because I made that grayscale. But that's not reusable. By putting the responsibility for making my bitmap, my 2D image into a grayscale image on the image, it means I have to do that every time I bring one in. Every time I bring a color image in, I have to turn it into a grayscale image. And then I can't use the color image anymore. What if I want to use the color? The color's gone now, right? So it's useless for anything but this and very specific to this. But instead, if I had a node that did that conversion for me, then I can leave the original bitmap alone and then potentially reuse it for something else. So instead of, in this case, forcing it to become grayscale by clicking on the bitmap node and picking grayscale, let's leave it at color. Now, this connection doesn't work because I need another node that will convert my color image into a grayscale image. And for that, there's a node called grayscale conversion. And so instead of connecting my bitmap directly to the normal map, I connect my bitmap to a grayscale conversion node, and then the output of the grayscale conversion node into the normal. And see, it's doing the exact same thing as changing this to grayscale, except now I can leave this alone and I can control the grayscale here. Another thing you need to know about, I saw it in this normal node, is you have to make sure you tell it OpenGL format because Second Life uses OpenGL. The other option is DirectX. If it's set to DirectX, when you bring the normal nodes into Second Life, everything will be upside down. So raised surfaces will be depressed surfaces will be raised. So you need to make sure that's set to OpenGL. Okay, so anyway, now I said, okay, that's great. That's great. I have this image, and it's connected in here. But wait a minute. And I actually tried this. I exported this, and I took it into Second Life, and I tried it, and went, oh my God, that pattern is so big on this couch. It's like the seat of the chair is covered up by this whole symbol, and I don't want that. I want this to be much smaller. So I need to find a way to scale this image down. And I could scale it down here by just going in here and changing the resolution, but then that causes this resolution to be different, which then doesn't work with this, and then that doesn't work. So I need some way to what we call tile it, or scale it without affecting the resolution. So I want to tile it. Means you take what's there, you shrink it down, and you repeat it, right? And so, and just like in Second Life, they have, you can tile, you can set the, or maybe it's a substance painter. There's tile for scaling. It's called tiling. All right, so we want to find a way to tile it, scale it. We want to find a way, oh, what if I want to rotate this image? What if it's not, when I put it on the chair, what if it's sideways? And I want to rotate it 90 degrees. How do I do that? And not only that, but oftentimes when you start playing around with these resolutions and changing the tiling on it, the pattern's not exactly where you want it. So you might have to shift it over to the right or left, or shift it up and down. And we call that offset. So there's these three properties that I want to be able to manipulate. And that is the tiling or scale, the rotation, and the offsets. And so there's a node for that. And that node is called a safe transform color node. So what you want to do is you want to bring in a safe transform color node. And I'm just going to do that right here. So you right click, you go add node, and you pick safe. It's not in here. I had to go look for it. So it's not here. So you have to come over here and find it somewhere. And I don't remember where it is. I think it's under transforms. There it is, safe transform color. And so you can bring it in, you can drop it in here and it automatically connects it. If you drag it and drop it on that line, it automatically connects it in the chain. So now my bitmap goes to the safe transform color node, and the safe transform color node goes to the grayscale conversion node, which goes to the normal node, which goes to the normal output node. And that, if I look at that in the 2D view, is what I want to take into Second Life. But again, the scale's not right. So I put this node in here to change the scale. Well, how do I change the scale without changing the resolution? Click on this node and you go down here to tile. And through trial and error, I found that the tile that I liked best for this particular thing on that particular chair was 6. So if I go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, that's 6 is right there. All right, why didn't it change? It didn't change. I don't know why it's not changing. Why is it not changing? Again, sometimes Substance Designer does some weird things. So let's delete that out. I already have one up here that works. So let's just connect it to that one. And then that one, you can see I have the scale and it does work because it changes. So there's the scale at 1. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And 6 is what I decided I wanted to use. All right. And so again, that node is called a safe transform color node. So then instead of going directly from the output here to here, you're going to take the output from the safe transform node into there. And see this, you notice I did that. So I had this bitmap can feed a number of different nodes. So it can go to that node and this node at the same time. But the grayscale conversion node can only have one input. So as soon as you drag this one, it takes its place and forces the connection off of there. So there we go. Okay, we have our bitmap. We have our bitmap that can go into the safe transform color, which lets us do things like scale it. It also lets us shift the offset. It also lets us rotate it. So that's all the three controls that you have right there. Scale with tiling, offset, and rotate, all within this node. And then the output of that comes in here, gets converted into grayscale, which goes out through there and comes out here, and then we can see it in our 2D model. And now you can see it's a much smaller pattern. And so what I want to do is I want to take that and I want to export that. And I'm going to call that this is a red and black damask. So we'll call it red, black, damask, normal. And it's not to a specific part yet. It's just for any part. This is the base color turned into a normal that we're going to use for all of the parts that use this color. So save that. Okay. So that got me the normal. Okay. So now I can go back in. Over here to Second Life. I can take this pattern in Photoshop. I can scale it up. I think it would be 6 times. And that's a lot of work to do in Photoshop to get the right matching pattern here. Or I can put it in as the base color and scale it in the material 6 times. So there's ways that I could do that with this base color image and that normal and combine them and put them on the chair. But then I realized, well, but wait a minute. Let's go back to Substance Designer and let's look at what we've got. So I have the image that I want to begin with, and then I scale that image. So the image that I need for my base color needs to be scaled by the exact same amount and have those little patterns in the exact same place that I have them in the normal for it to work right. And since I have that output right there, why don't I just use that output for my base color? So all you have to do is add an output node. Add an output node. Where's output node? Down there at the bottom. Okay. And we are going to call that one base color. Okay, it's called base color. And then on the add, we're going to click this down here for usage. We're going to add item, RGBA, and it's instead of diffuse, it's base color. Okay. So that was going to let me have this 2D view of the final output, and then I can save that as the base color. So how do I get from this bitmap to there looking correct? Well, you take the output of this safe transform color. It can connect to multiple things. So we're going to drag a connection from it to our base color. And now we have it in our base color and we can export it. But I wanted to make sure that it was crisp and clear. Because sometimes when you scale things, they get a little blurry, especially when it gets small like that. It gets a little blurry. So there's a node called a sharpen node. So I said, let's add a sharpen node. So I'll go add, sharpen. And then instead of going from the safe transform color to our output node, we go to the sharpen node. And then from there, we go to the output node. Okay. And now the base color image is there and it's got this sharpness being applied to it. And you can adjust how much sharpness you want. So like right now it's set to about right here. I can make it more or less sharp by sliding that around. Okay. But now I said, uh-oh, that presents another problem because this changes the way this base color image looks. The pixels will be off slightly from what's being used here because this isn't sharpened. So I thought, oh, okay, then I need to move that And I also need to take the sharpness into there so that my grayscale image is exactly the same image for both the base color and the normal. So now they will match identically because they're both coming out of here. And the only transformations that take place between here and the output nodes are things that are only necessary for the normal. There's nothing done here. So that means it's going to match. Okay? So that means we got to export our normal map again. So we're just going to save it again. I didn't need to save it the first time. I jumped the gun. So we're just going to overwrite that. And now I want to do the base color. I'm going to save that. And I'm going to call it base. I'm going to call it red, black, damask, base color. Okay? Now, that's 2 of the 3 material maps that I need for my PBR material for Second Life. The 2 that I've made so far will be used on every different part that uses that color pattern. And I have 2 parts that do. I have the texture that goes on these 3 parts here. There's one here, here, and here. All use the same AO. This one uses a different AO. Those are the 2 parts that are going to get that red and black pattern. The nails are going to get something else, and the wood's going to get something else. So I have 2 different AOs that are going to use that. But I don't need to produce this file twice. I only need to produce it once. The thing that I need to do separately for each part is based on the AO, and that is the ORM map, which we're going to do now. So let's go back in here. So, okay, let's think about this logically. I want to have an output of a bunch of textures, and I'm going to call it ORM. So first thing I want to do is I want to say, okay, start with an output node. So we're going to add an output node. That's this. I'm going to call it ORM. Now, this does not have, in this model that I'm working with, I don't know why, but there's not one in here for metallic roughness. There should be. I don't know why. Metallic roughness is often together, and in here it doesn't even have metallic. Oh yeah, it does. Oh, maybe it doesn't have it in here. Diffuse, base color, opacity, emissive, ambient occlusion, mask, normal, bump height, displacement, specular level, specular color, glossiness, roughness, whatever, absorption, scattering. ORM. Boom! Has ORM. So we have one called ORM. I may have added that yesterday. I don't know. I have no idea. It's called ORM now. All right, so that's going to give me the output. When I click on that and I save, I'll be able to save that ORM map. So then I think, okay, what goes in to making an ORM map? When I do it in Photoshop, what I have to do is I have to take an RGB image, and I usually start with the AO, right? And then I'll take that and I'll make it sure it's RGB instead of black and white. And then I'll go into the channels and I'll look at the red channel, the green channel, the blue channel, and I will change the values in there to make a new colored version of that AO. I will export that as ORM, and then we can use that in Second Life. So it's a bit of a pain. Here, they have a thing that does that for you. It's called RGBA merge. Red, green, blue, alpha, which are the 4 channels, merges into one output. And so just do add node, and you pick an RGBA merge. If it's not in the list there, you have to come over here and find it wherever that is. I had to come over here and find it, but it's called RGBA merge. And it accepts 4 inputs: red, green, blue, alpha, all of which have to be grayscale. And then you can see there's parameters in here that you can play with to manipulate this sum, but I don't need to adjust them. And then the output of that is going to go into our ORM. And right now it says it's broken because it's not all connected because there's no R. You notice I don't have R connected. Right? So that goes from RGBA merge to here. Now we say, okay, what's going to go into the RGBA merge? And just like it would in Photoshop with the 3 layers, you're going to have your ambient occlusion going into the red. You're going to have something going into green for your roughness, which is how shiny, reflective it is. And then something going into blue, which is metallic, which is how shiny or shimmery it is. And then I don't need anything going into alpha, and that's okay because it's optional. But okay, what's going to go into R? R is ambient occlusion. So I need my ambient occlusion for the 2 different parts that are going to go into making the cushions for the chair and the base of the chair. And we'll do them one at a time. And I have them in here already, and I think this is it. Oops. I wish it would show me what it is, but I don't know why it's not showing. Show view in output TD view. There it goes. Okay, this is not it. This is the feet. Let's do this one. Output and 2D view. That's the base. Yeah, I found a way to get it to show me what's in here. View in output 2D view. Okay. All right, there we go. So this is the nails. These are the feet. This is the seat cushions, and this is the base. Okay, so let's do the seat cushions first. So we'll drag that over here. Now, it's already grayscale, so I don't need to convert it to grayscale. And I can just plug it in here. It's already 2048 by 2048. So if it weren't, how would I fix that? If it's not 2048 by 2048 and it's not grayscale, I don't need nodes for that. You could use nodes for that, but I just need this thing to be where it is. I could just add a grayscale node here and just link it in. And I'm thinking maybe that's what I should do. But anyway, if I wanted to make this more robust, I would do that. But I'm not. I'm just going to make this because I don't need to use this anywhere else but as grayscale. So it's okay to go ahead and just change this to grayscale. So make sure that's clicked over here. It says grayscale. And the resolution is 2048 by 2048. And then you just drag that into the R. Okay. And then that gives me my ambient occlusion. So what do I want for my green? Well, green, you can do this a number of different ways. We could take a copy of the ambient occlusion, and then the areas that are white will be matte, and the areas that are black or dark would be shiny, and then the gray areas would be shinier. I don't want that on this chair. That would look weird, right? The gaps would be really shiny, and this would be dark, would be not shiny. I don't want that. I just want this, because it's leather or whatever it is, I want the uniformity of the shininess to be there. But I have the ability to say, what if I want the output of this, where I want the black to be, I don't want this to be shiny. I want it to be the inversion of this, and use that so that the raised parts are shiny and the lower down parts are matte. So how could I get that to come into here? We'll do that in a minute, but if I just want uniformity, let's say I just want a uniform shininess, because I'm saying, okay, it's leather, I want the whole leather to be exactly the same amount of reflectiveness and the same amount of shininess. Then I can use what's called a uniform color. Uniform color means every pixel is going to have the same color, and that's a node. So you just go add node, and you pick uniform color, which is right there. And that gives you a node like this. And then you click on it, and you come here, and you set the color. Well, let's say I don't want any shininess at all. Any reflectiveness, sorry. I want maximum roughness. I don't want any reflections. So you set this to white. If I wanted it to be maximum reflective like a mirror, I would put it on black. But I want it to be white, so we're going to set it to white. And now, I don't know why it did that, but it just suddenly says it can't connect anymore. All I did was change this. But it'll be all right. We'll survive it. And then, and so the uniform color is not there anymore either. What the heck? All right. When in doubt, delete, add a new node, add new uniform color, grayscale, white, and connect. Ta-da! Don't ask me why. It's just the oddities of Substance Designer. Okay, so now we have white, which means maximum roughness or no reflectiveness, going into the green channel. And then for the metallic channel for the B, I want it to be no metallic. I want it to be this cloth or whatever. I want it to be very matte. So I don't want anything to be shiny on that. So I'll just select the node and set it to black. And again, it freaked out. I don't know why. So I'm going to delete that. Add a new node. If I knew why it did that, I could probably fix it, but I don't know why it does that, so I'm not going to try. And it's already set to black, I think. Yep, it's already set to black. And then just drag that into B for blue, which is metallic. So now I have 3 different grayscale inputs coming in, being combined, and they should be going into this node, but it's giving me grief saying it doesn't like it. But it worked. And now the dotted line went away. Okay. So all I did was tell it to appear in the 2D view down here by clicking on that. And it's here. And so this is the ORM for the seat AO. For the seat AO for any color, any pattern. I don't need to reproduce this every time I make a PBR material. So I don't need to upload one for every PBR material, which is the way I do it from Substance Painter. I have to upload all of these files for each part for everything I do in Substance Painter. So I am uploading tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of these files when I don't need to. I just need one of these for this part for the entire build. No matter how many copies and colors I use, I need one of these. And so let's go ahead and export that. We're going to call it seat ORM. Now, that was the seat, but I also have this base. And I want to make sure it's the same. Look, it's 1024 by 1024. It needs to be 2048 by 2048. So let's click on it. And also, its color, it needs to be grayscale. So click grayscale and scale it up to 2048 by 2048. And now connect it to the alpha. And you'll see the ORM changed. Isn't that so much easier than using Photoshop and having those layers, having to import every one of these AOs, import it, then make it, and then export it and do all that. It's just there. I link it in and poof, there's my ORM. And then I just save it. Save it as base ORM. Not base ORM, just look at that one. Okay, there's my base ORM. What about the foot and the nails? I need to get those ORMs too. So while I'm at it, let's go ahead and do them. This is 2048 by 2048. It's grayscale. I'll just go ahead and stick it on there. And then I'll export it as nails ORM. And then let's look at the feet. It's 2048 by 2048 and grayscale, so I'll just stick it on there. And there it is. And I'll export that as feet ORM. All right, so that's done. But I did say, what about if I want to have a different ORM for these seats? Well, this is like an advanced course level, okay? So here I used a uniform color to get the ORM done for those parts. But let's say, I want to do something a little different than that. Let's say I'm going to get one of these grayscale converters. I'm not going to use this. Oh, I am going to use the same one. No, I want to have a different one because I want it to be inverted for this one. So I'm going to do add node, grayscale conversion. I'm going to take the output of there into here because you can have multiple. And then on this, we're going to invert it. And now where's that at? Huh? I know it's in here somewhere. Output size, pixel size, tiling mode, random seed, channel weights, background value. All right, so here's a great way to learn how to use Substance Designer or Substance Painter or really any program. I use Copilot, and so I have this question. I'm going to ask it right now. In Substance Designer, how do you invert the output of a grayscale conversion node? To invert the output of a grayscale conversion node in Substance Designer, you can use the invert grayscale node. Here's how. In the graph window, click on the blank area, press the space bar, type invert grayscale in the search bar that appears. Okay, invert grayscale. You heard that. Click anywhere in here and pick invert grayscale. Yeah, it doesn't show up in the list there, so you have to search invert grayscale. There it is. So there's invert grayscale node. Okay, well, since the invert grayscale is a node that's going to invert the grayscale, I don't need this one. It's redundant. Let's take the output of that one. Oh, wait a minute. Where's the input on this? Oh? Did I do the wrong thing? Add node. I did an input grayscale. Spacebar. Invert grayscale. Yeah, I did an input grayscale. There we go. Invert grayscale. Ta-da! Now it's right. Okay. I can just take the output of this into the input of this because it can do multiples. And put that. So we're going to take this, put it back into here for the ambient occlusion. And then this now, white means, what does white mean? White means no reflection. Dark means reflection. And that's what I want for my roughness. So I'm going to put this into the G. Okay. Now, for the metallic, I want black to be no metallic, and I want white to be metallic. So I'm going to use this for metallic. Okay, so this is going to be a completely different look. And what I'll do is I will then go to my ORM, and you'll notice it's now the ORM with a pattern on it. And I will save that as special one only for the red and black. So now I have an ORM that only works with that red and black pattern. So we'll call that one red, black, shiny ORM. And then we'll do the same thing with the base instead of the seat. And we will call that red, black, shiny. Oh, the other one should have been called seat. This is called base ORM. I'll rename that other one base ORM. No, that was seat ORM. This one is shiny ORM. All right, so now I have both of them but they're, because I added that pattern to them, they're not reusable. They're specific only to that specific base color now. That's why it's a limitation. You may want to do it because it may look better, but you may not want to do it because it might be a lot more work. It depends on what you want. So let's go to photo. Let's go back over to here, and let's import all those things, and let's see what happens. So I'm going to go set that up. They should be in my export folder. I'm going to go ahead and try to import them now. Okay, so we're going to go build, upload, bulk. And here's my export folder where I have them going. There's the base ORM, the feet ORM, the nails ORM, seat ORM. Those are the reusable ones that don't matter what pattern you have. And then we have the base color image, the normal image, which are the same base color and normal image for all parts that use the same material. And then we have the specific shiny version of those. So that's what we have. So let's go ahead and upload these textures to Second Life. And here they come to save the day. And so we can look at the two different side by side. I'm going to duplicate this chair. Gives us the opportunity just to look at them side by side. See if it really makes a difference. Okay, I think it's done. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to create the PBR materials for this now. I'm just going to go in here and to create new material. And I'm going to do the generic ones first. So we're going to have this one that's going to be called seat. Oh, that's not material. That's a note card. Seat. Reusable. No, I don't want to call it reusable. I want one. Okay. It's just I need the same one over and over. Okay. We're going to call it red and black. Seat. Red. Where's my underscore? Seat underscore red black. Okay. And then we'll do one called red black shiny. And then we'll do one. I'm just copying and pasting. We'll rename that to base red black. And then base red black shiny. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and edit one of these. So this is the first one, second one, third one, fourth one. I'll just spread them out a little bit here so we can see them. All right, there's our four. This is seat red black. So, okay, so it's the seat, so it needs the seat ORM. So we drag that into metallic roughness. Then we have seat red black shiny, which means it needs the red black shiny seat ORM. And then we have base red black, which means it needs base ORM. And then this one is base red black shiny, which means it needs red black shiny base ORM. Bing, 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 bing. Okay. And then all of them are going to use the same base color. So we just drag the red, black, damask base color into each one. And then they're all going to use the same normal. So we just drag that in as well. And then hit save. Bing, 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 bing. So now I just created 4 PBR materials, which normally would have required me to upload 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 files. I created all of this with just 1, 2, 3, 4 textures, and then the 2 of them use these, so six textures instead of 12. So I have 50% savings in the amount of money you have to spend to upload if you have to pay to upload, but also time to upload, but also time to produce. And uploading is a pain in the butt, and producing these is a pain in the butt. But this wasn't. This is super simple. And then you just come in here and you do all the work here by combining them. Okay, so I've got the 4 materials here. Now let's apply them. All right, so let's make this one the not shiny, and this one will be the shiny. So we're going to put seat red black on here, here, and here. And then seat red black shiny is going to go here, here, here. And then base red black is here. Base red black shiny is here. Okay. And there you go. Now, the feet aren't done yet and the nails aren't done yet because we would have to go back and do them. And I'll do that at the end. And if you don't want to watch that, you can leave. Okay. Okay. So here it is with no shininess. So if we cam around, you don't really, it's very matte. You don't see any kind of reflection on it. You don't see any kind of shininess on the red. But it is raised. You can see the red is slightly elevated. It's slightly looks like it stands out, which is what we wanted. And then this one, I'm hard pressed to really. I can kind of see there's a little bit of a shininess over there, which I'm not actually sure I'm a fan of. Right? I don't know. It's a you can definitely see it here. Let me put a light on here and see how that looks. The light. Yeah, I'm really hard pressed to see a major difference between the two. In fact, I kind of like the one without the shininess better, right? So I showed you how you can do it. So you have that option, but I don't really think you need to do it. So I'm going to recommend we don't use this. And instead of going to there, we just use the uniform nodes. I think it looked fine. I think it looked really good this way. So I don't think we need to go to all that extra trouble to do that. And now your files are completely reusable. So if I did have more parts, then I would be able to just quickly and easily set that up. So, okay, now, before I go on to the feet and the nails, let's talk about what do I want to do if I have another base color that I want to use. Okay, well, I happen to have one right here. And it is a similar damask, but it's a different color. It's pink and white. Okay, so I'm going to take that pink and white, connect it here, and everything changes. Now, again, I don't know why that's not there, but there it goes. All right, so there's that one. I'll show you a little shortcut, so you don't have to come over here and do view output in 2D window. You can just come down here in your 2D window, and it has this little drop down that shows the 3 different output nodes that we have. We have a base color node, an ORM node, and a normal node. And so all you have to do is tell it which one you want. So we want the base color, and that's here. And I save it, and I'm going to call that pink base color. And then go to the normal. Oh, sorry. Click on this, pick normal, and then hit save. And we're going to call that pink normal. I don't need to do anything with the ORMs, so we just go back to Second Life. Now we do build, upload bulk. We upload 2 files, pink normal and pink base color. And they're uploading, and they're almost done. There's 1. There's 2. Now we're going to take our seat and our base material. We're going to copy them, paste them, change the name, seat pink. Change the name of this one to seat, or to base pink. Open them up to edit. There they are. They've got the red and black base color. I want to change that to pink base color on both of them. Changed pink normal on both of them. Save. And again, now I was able to create 2 more PBR materials by only uploading 2 materials, where normally it would have taken me 6 materials to upload. So that's even a bigger savings now, because I only needed, 2. I needed this file and this file. Okay. Now let's go ahead and apply it. So we'll take seat pink and we just drop it on. Take base pink and drop it on. And there you go. Now you have, has a raised, very, very clearly it's raised with the normal, which is what I wanted. And the pattern looks good. And it's consistent. That pattern is consistent all the way across this thing. Everywhere you look, it's consistent. And again, if I wanted to add another one, I could just add another one. I could go back into here, into Substance Designer. Just get another material. Let me see if I can go find another one. Something cool. Okay, I went and looked in my inventory and I found an image that I like. I like this one right here. So I'm going to take that one and just drag it in here. And it asks, do you want to link to it or do you want to import it? I'm going to go ahead and import it. And there it is. And then I'm going to pull that in here and replace that image. And I don't know if 6 is going to look good. I won't know until we actually go try it. If it doesn't look good, we can always come back and change it. But let's go ahead and export these. So again, just come down here. I don't need to come over to these. I can just come in here. Yeah, I guess I do. View in output. Now I can do it. For some reason, it wasn't selected, so I had to view one of them, and then I can do this. So, okay, I'm going to go to the base color, save. We'll call this plum because that was plum and gold. Plum gold base color. And you can see I don't care if it's the seat or the base. It doesn't matter. And then we'll pick this one, pick normal. Save that as plum gold. Normal. Right. Now I'll go back to Second Life. We'll do build, upload, bulk. And we'll get plum gold, base color, and normal. Upload those. And then we'll copy these two materials. Paste. Rename them to base. Oops. Base plum gold. And seat. Sorry. Plum gold. We'll edit them. Double click. And then doesn't matter what they are with the ORMs because we don't care because it's already there. We're just going to take plum gold normal, put it in both of them. And then we'll take plum gold base color and put it in both of them. We'll save. And then we'll put it. Base goes here. Seat goes here. Here. And here. And there you go. Ooh. And that looks a little blurry to me. I might try to bump up the sharpness on that a little bit. See what happens if we do that. Let's go back over here to the sharpen node. I still want to look at the output of the base color. View output. That's what's cool is you can tell it which one to show down here, and then you can change to another one and make changes, and then you'll still see this one. So let's see if this helps. I'm going to adjust the sharpness, intensity. Is that helping? What if I go the other way? Oh, it looks like that. Oh, I see. I'm not sure I like that. You lose a lot of the color. Right? Yeah, you lose a lot of that color. Let's drop it down maybe here. And then you can save it again. Now, let me go back and look at that. Is that pattern too small? I can make the pattern bigger. Let's try making it bigger. Let's go over here to the transform, and let's do 4 instead. That's much crisper, too. All right. Now we just export these again. Go back, view output in 2D. Save, and we'll just save it as the same one. This is plum gold base color. And then normal, save as plum gold normal. Go back over to Second Life, we'll re-import them. Build, upload, bulk, plum gold, base color, and normal. Upload. And see, I have premium membership, so I don't have to pay for uploads. So I don't really care about it from that perspective, but it's just a convenience. This is so much more convenient. Look how many, I can make changes in almost real time. I'm just doing these changes and going, oh, okay. That's what this looks like. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, I like this change. Okay. So I'll just take these materials. I don't need to create new ones. I'll just take these. I could if I wanted to compare them and then just replace the images. Base color on both of them and the normal on both of them. Save it. And then reapply it. Base goes here. And seat goes here, here, and there. And I like that a lot more. There you go. Okay. So now I showed you how to do different 2D material textures, right? And how to get them to generate the base color and the normal, and how you can just keep churning them out. We're producing as many as you want from different things just by dragging and dropping. Literally, that's all you do. You drag your image in, you connect it to one thing, and export. Drag another one in, connect it, export. Drag another one in, connect it, export. If you want to make changes to it, you can. You can do it like we did. We adjusted the scale. That one's 6. This is 4. You can do that. You can play with those things. Let's try a leather. Let's see what a leather looks like. Okay, let's do a leather one right now. I'll just find some leather. All right, here we are. I'm back, and I've pulled. And so a lot of these leathers, like these weren't that useful to me because in Photoshop I had to reproduce them so many times. Right, such a pain. But I think they will be a lot easier to use now. Let's try something like this leather here, FL leather 30. So okay. Go back into Designer, open that up, come back over here. Then I'm going to drag that in here, import the resource. And now you'll notice it's 512 by 512, so we got to bump up the resolution. And then I definitely want to make sure that goes through a sharpen, which it does right there. Okay. And then scale. Now I have no context of the scale to use for this. So, but we can kind of gauge it when we look at the output over here. What's it going to look like? That might be okay. Again, we have to experiment and try it. All right, so we got the leather on here. Let's go ahead and export these. So we're going to do that, and we'll say brown leather base color. Then we'll do the other one, which is base color or brown leather normal. Okay. Back to Second Life. Oops. Upload that. Build. Upload. Bulk. Upload these 2 files. Then we will copy and paste our 2 materials. Then we rename them. Seat brown leather. Oops. Got an extra character in there that I don't really want. Rename this one brown leather. And then open them. Drag the base color in. Drag the normal in. Save. And then place them. This is base. Seat. 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 Now, you run into an interesting situation. First of all, do you like that pattern? I think it looks okay. But this is really, really, really matte. Because we made that ORM to be really, really matte. But I kind of want some shimmer. I want some shine on this. So what would I do? So what I would do is I would go back and rename these ORMs. where did it go? You have the seat ORM, you have the base ORM right here, right? I would rename that seat ORM matte. And the base ORM I would rename matte. Okay, now let's go back to Designer. And let's do something a little more reflective and shiny than what we have. So I want to have, let's say, 50-50 and see what it looks like, because I don't know how it's going to turn out. So for that, you just go in here and change this to be 0.5. Or it's 255. It's 256. 128, right? Okay. And the same thing on this one. Again, I don't know why it makes it that way. Okay, so we'll just, I don't know why it does this. We'll delete them and add new nodes, add new output node. And we'll change that to, no, not an output node. Uniform color node. Add node uniform color. Grayscale. 128. And we'll put that on both. Green and blue. And that's going to be 50% on both of them, right? So that's going to give us a difference. And so let's go ahead and I don't remember which one this is. That's the base. Okay. So let's export this over here as, see that it's completely different now, right? It looks really weird, right? So we're going to hit base ORM mid shiny. 50% gray is what maybe I should have called it. Okay. And then we'll take this one and plug it in, and we'll do the same thing and call it seat ORM mid shiny. Now, if we go back to Second Life and we do build, upload, bulk, and pick base ORM mid shiny, seat ORM mid shiny, upload those, and then, well, I've been at this an hour and 17 minutes. Upload. Feels like a lot longer than that. Okay, so there we have both of those. And now we can go back and edit these two materials and just drop the ORM in the right one. So this is seat goes here. This is base goes there, and then save them. And now drop them on. Base, seat, seat, seat. And there you go. Now you have leather that has, it's got a normal on it, it's kind of bumpy looking, and it has 50% metallic, 50% reflective. And if you don't want the metallic, maybe that's not the look you want to go for, what we can do is we can test that by opening that up and then changing metallic to 0 and overriding it. And then that should override it. And you can test that by dropping it in. And yeah, it did change. Watch what happens when I drag it up here. So it's still, you get the reflectiveness, but you don't have that kind of metallic tinting or shading to it, so that it looks more like leather, right? So I kind of like this better. but I might want a little bit of metallic, maybe a little bit of metallic. So, okay, that gives me an idea, but I want to go back and create a reusable ORM that I'm going to be happy with. So, I could even bump up the reflection just a little bit more, the roughness, and then add a little bit of metallic. So let's think about that. Let's try it and see. This is what I like about this. It gives you the opportunity to really experiment, okay? So now, instead of being 50-50 gray, we're going to do a uniform color. I'm probably going to have to delete this and add a new one. Let's do add node uniform color and grayscale. And then black is going to, okay, this is roughness. This is shininess. Black means shiny. So I had it 50% before. I want to go a little bit more than 50%. Let's go about here and connect that to our shiny. Now we'll add another one, add node uniform color, grayscale. And now this is metallic, and I don't want any metallic. Actually, could probably use that same color. That reduced, no, let's go a little darker than that. I want to have very little metallic, but I want a little bit. So like that. Okay. And again, we're just experimenting. Then you come back, view in output mode. There it is. Now see, it's a completely different color, which it should be. So we're going to do, this is seat. Let's just copy that again. Seat. No, I'll call this seat ORM shiny 2. And then change the AO and save it. We'll call it base ORM shiny 2. Go back to Second Life. We're going to upload those. Load bulk. And if I wanted to compare them, I could copy the furniture. Or I could make extra materials or whatever. But I'm just going to try it and see. I can always go back and undo it. Right? It's just as easy to copy and paste these and make new ones. But I think it'll be fine. If I don't like it, I can always edit it and change it back. All right, so we're going to go shiny 2, seat, shiny 2 base, save, save. And then let's try that. There we go. Hey, now I'm happy. That's how I want it to look. That's exactly how I want it to look. Okay, so there's a leather. So we did some cloth that was matte, and we created a matte ORM for the seat part and for the base part. Then I wanted a leather, which would be kind of shiny, so I created a new ORM for both the seat and the base part. And then we create a base color and a normal together for each different texture style. So the red and black, the pink, and this leather. And this looks way better. This looks so much better than doing it the way that I was teaching before using Substance Painter. This way is incredible. But what you can't get with this way is adding things like edge wear, dirt splatters, things like that, scratches and all that. You can get it, but you have to do it in Substance Painter and create all kinds of nodes and do all stuff. So you can get some of that stuff. But again, even in Substance Painter, if you don't have the model, you can't really do that. And so this looks so much better than what I had coming out of it my other way, that this is the only way I'm doing it from now on. I mean, to me, this is phenomenal looking. I don't know what to tell you. This is fantastic. And anyway, so let's go back and we'll finish out and do the nails and the feet. So I'm going to do the nails first because that'll be a little easier. We already have the nail ORM. We did that already. So we just need to get some colors. And so how am I going to get colors for this? Well, I'm going to cheat. I'm not even coming back here. I'm just going to create. I could go in there and do it. I could. So like, for example, let's see. I'll show you how to do it in there. This is about using Substance Designer. So I'll show you how to do it. All right. So it doesn't matter about the ORM. We're not doing that. What we're playing with is the base color and the normal now. Okay. So I need to get some kind of metal. So a metal texture that I can play with and see that is going to match these. So I want like let's do a black one or a dark gray one. That would work really well. This is where Substance Painter is great because you can really create really good metals. But I don't have the model, so I can't do it. Okay. But you can do things here. You can add noise. You can add stuff to get really cool looking base color images out of it. Right? So we're going to head and disconnect these guys, and I'll just delete them out of here. Let's do, while I'm thinking about it, let's do the wood first. Is this wood? Yeah, I already have a wood in here, so let's do the wood first. Let's go ahead and take the wood. And again, I want to run it through the scale thing. I don't think you need 6. Let's bring this down to like, or it's not even 6, it's 4. Let's just bring it back down to 1 and see how it looks. It's going to look like that. And I think the AO for those things was down here, right? That's not. That's the nails. We're doing the feet. Okay. There's the feet. So it takes up 2/3 of it. That's kind of good. Okay. And then I'll let you in on how to make the... Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this, and then we're going to do the base color, how to combine the AO with the base color to get your diffuse. We'll talk about that too for Blinn Phong. Okay. What was I doing? Scale. I think because it uses 2/3 of this, I think that means that grain is pretty good at a 1-to-1 ratio. So let's just save these out and see. So we'll call that, I don't know, what do you want to call that? Cherry? We'll call that nah, it's more like a walnut. Let's call it walnut base color. And then pick the normal, and we'll call that walnut And then as far as the ORM goes, we have a matte ORM. We didn't create a shiny foot ORM. So why don't we create one just to see what it looks like? So let's go ahead and drag this connection onto here. And then we'll look at the output here. Okay, this is going to be foot ORM shiny 2. I skipped mid shiny. All right, so let's go ahead and upload those 3 files. Build, upload, bulk. We want walnut, and then we want foot ORM shiny 2. So those 3 files. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new material. We're going to call it feet walnut shiny. And then we'll edit it. And we will put into the normal, the walnut normal. Where's normal? Normal's down here. Okay, so the normal goes there. Then we need the walnut base color up there. And then we're going to take the ORM that we just made, foot ORM shiny 2, put there. And then we're going to save it. And then we just drag it on the feet. We can drag it on all the feet. See how it looks. It looks good, all right. Looks good there. I'm looking at that. That looks good. Look at that. Oh my goodness, it looks so good. That's incredibly good. I love it. All right, now we're going to do the nails. Nails we're going to do a little more creatively on this one. So, again, it's the power of Substance Designer. We're going to get creative with this. So I've not done this before, so you're going to have to bear with me on that. I'm going to disconnect that bitmap. I'm going to add a uniform color node. Let's go uniform color. And I want to be color. And then I want to pick a color that's going to be somewhere close to black. Maybe with a little reddish tint in it. Something like that. Maybe darker. A little darker like that, maybe. Start with that. And then we connect it in. And then we're going to have this base color come out over here like that, right? And it's going to generate a normal, but there's no definition in the normal, so it's going to just like be okay. But I want to add some characteristics to this to get it to not look so uniform. So let's add some nodes in here to make it look more like metal. And then if you want to, we'll see how it turns out. Okay, so one of the first things we want is we want something called a grunge map. So we're going to do add node. And then we find the right one. Okay, so you just come here, remember you click and you hit the space bar and then you can type grunge. G-U-R-N-G-E, and you'll see there's all kinds of different things that come up. Grunge. And it gives you a preview of what they look like. So there's like galvanic, leaks, leaky paint, dirt, rust fine, scratches, dirty. Let's try this one. It's called grunge rust fine. Let's go ahead and put that in here. So we're going to use this pattern to make the surface look more like metal. Okay. And so we're going to take that and we're going to combine that with a what's called a blend node. And so you have like this one go here, this one go here, and this one go here. And then you can adjust okay, so we're getting a red dashed line when we try to connect our grunge map to the foreground input on this, which says it can take a grayscale image. So, but why is it not accepting a grayscale image? So yeah, that works. And that doesn't work. So for some reason, it's not letting me connect anything to the color input on that. So, okay. Might put this back to the output. That works. Into this one goes here. Won't do it. All right, so there's a node called Colorize. Let's see if I can get to that. Colorize, colorize, colorize. Nope. Let's see if that helps. Is that it? They changed the name of it? Nope, that ain't it. Okay, there's so many different nodes that do things that you have to really figure them out. There's one called a gradient map. Let's see, gradient map. There it is. Boom. Put gradient map in here, and you drag your output of this grayscale into it, and then you drag the output of the grayscale into the foreground of that, and now you can see we have a blend of the two. And we can set the blend mode. This is a thing called copy, which looks like that. Multiply looks like that. Overlay looks like that. That actually looks more like what I want, right? So you get this kind of thing going on. Right, so that's one. All right, now we're going to add like scratches. So I want to add some scratches. Something, it's called like a scratch generator. Scratches generator. And then can I add multiple blends? How do I do multiple blends? Nope. You have to do another blend. See blend, where's blend? Right there. This goes here. This goes here. Well, that's going to give you a normal. I don't want a normal. Sorry. I think there's other nodes that do scratches. Let's just look at scratches. That's going to put it, these are going to be tiny. They don't really need a normal. I just want to make it look different. Scratches, metal, like that one. Okay, so we have that. We'll add another blend node here. Put that here. Put this in there. And take this to here. And then why is this like that? You're going to do multiply. That is kind of, not sure I like the color on that. So what we can do is we can, between here and here, not sure I even need this sharpen anymore. Well, we'll keep it there though. I want to do levels. Let's do add node levels. Like that, and then we can adjust the values to kind of darken that up a bit. Like so. It gives it a much bigger contrast, right? I just think the red's too bright. That's my only thing. I think this red's too bright. But we can look at it. So anyway, there we did a bunch of stuff in here to create this kind of cool looking effect. See, let me think, what else can I do? There's another thing called metal edge wear, but I don't know how that's going to work. But we can look and see what it does. There's this one. Okay, and then we're going to do another blend. And then let's see. Ooh, I don't know about this. Not sure that's the right thing. I don't think that's going to do anything. So. All right, let's just try this and see how it works. I think it's too red for this, though. It might look good on the one with the red. Let's try it there. All right. View output here. And then we'll do nails, red, base color. And then we'll output this one as nails, red, normal. And let's go try them out. Build, upload, bulk. Nails, nails, nails. Where are you? Nails, nails, nails. Right there. Boom, boom. And we'll upload those two. Yeah, it'll probably look all right here. It'll be kind of reddish. And then I'm going to create a new material. Call it nails red. It should say red, not EED. Okay. Edit it. And then we will go back down and find where we had that nails ORM. This is going to be matte. Remember, this was a very matte looking ORM, so that's not what I know it's not going to be what I want, so it's probably not going to work for me, but we'll try it. And then this goes, base color goes here, normal goes there, save. I'm just going to put it here. Yeah, that looks great for this. Look at that. Looks really good, but it's not shiny. So if we want to try it shiny, we need to create an ORM that's going to be very metallic, right? Because this is a piece of metal. So we might as well make a metallic looking ORM. That's the feet. That's the nails. Okay, so we're going to connect this one here. And then for the ORM for that, I want it to be 100% metallic. So that's going to be white. So I need a white uniform color node. It's going to plug into metallic. And then I want a little bit of shine. So I think this is probably okay. So, okay. So let's go ahead and look at that. And we'll save this one as nails, ORM, shiny. Go back here. We'll do build, upload, image. Nails ORM shiny. We'll edit that material. We'll drag this ORM in. Save it. And then drag it on. And now they look shiny like that, which I don't like. I don't like it. I didn't like that. Okay, so we're going to go put that one back. So we're going to go nails, ORM, shiny. We're going to go back and get the original matte nails, ORM, which was down here. Put it in there. And put them back. Okay. Still looks weird, but not as weird. All right, and so for this one, that ain't going to work. So I need something a little more brown. So let's go back in there. Go back to our base color here. And we're going to make it even more brown. Which, how do I get that to be? I don't like this thing. I want to like make it bigger. Is there a way to do that? Nope. What is this sRGB? Toggle sRGB. This is red, green, blue. Okay. And then, but how do you? I don't know how to make it dark when you look at RGB. So let's see what happens when I do this. Like that. A little more this way. Ooh, that looks pretty good. How's it look over here? Looks pretty brown. So I already have the normal. It didn't change the normal. It just changed the color, so I don't really need to regenerate the normal. I don't think. All I did was change the color, right? Yeah. It shouldn't affect the normal. If I want to be safe, I can export the normal. So I'm just going to export this thing. And we'll call it nails, brown nails base color. So again, now I only have to import one. I don't have to import two. I certainly don't have to import three just to get this PBR material. So we're going to go build, upload image. What do I call it? Brown nails base color. And we will copy and paste this material. Rename it to brown. Open it. And drag in the base color. Oops, not that. That. Save. And it's a little dark, but we'll try it. It's not bad. It's a little dark. How does that look over here? Actually, it looks good with that one too. Okay, we'll leave it like that. Well, there you go. So now we have the nails done. We have the feet done. We have the seats and the base, and they have all looking really, really, really good. This chair's never looked this good. I can tell you that. From anything I've done on it, that chair's never looked that good. All right. So the last thing on here that I promise you guys, if you don't want to watch this, you can leave. I won't get upset with you. But if you stick around to the end, you're going to have to tell me, hey, I watched the whole thing, including making the Blinn Phong diffuse material. All right, so if you wanted to do Blinn Phong, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy this chair now. Move that one back. And I'm going to turn off the PBR so we can actually see what's underlying it on the base color. So select everything, go to texture, select face. I don't need to play with the, oops, sorry. Select everything, select face, okay. Why are you doing this to me? Select the faces this way, that way. Okay, that's all the faces. Go to PBR and pick none. Okay. So now we're gonna play with our PBR, not PBR, Blinn Phong. So I already have the normals for these, so I can go ahead and just stick the normals on. So let's go ahead and edit this, and we'll go select face. We'll take this face, the seat faces, and this is going to be for the brown leather that we just did. That's the thing we've got right now. Right? So if I go to brown leather base color, and I could put the base color in here as the Blinn Phong diffuse, and then I could put the normal in as well. And I don't have a specular, so I'll have to figure out what to do about that. And then on the base, I could do that. Normal there. Okay. I'm not going to do the nails. I think I will go ahead and do the nails. But this base color, I don't like it. It's too plain. But we'll go ahead. We'll go with it. Nails base color. Nails normal. Feet. Walnut shiny. That's a base color. I don't want that. Well, walnut base color. And then the walnut normal. Where's that at? No, feet normal. Where's feet normal? Walnut right there. Walnut. Oh, okay. I got the base color and the normal on. Now, look at the difference. Look at the difference. Look at the difference between this chair and this chair. This looks like Second Life circa 2010. It's not horrific, but it doesn't even look as good as the base chair that Surge gives you. Which is the one over there, right? So, yeah, it looks terrible, right? Because it's so flat, right? Okay. But we're going to fix that. Because the difference is, in PBR, your base color texture does not have shading information in it. Doesn't have your ambient occlusion. The ambient occlusion is included in the ORM. In Blinn Phong, there is no ORM. There is no ambient occlusion. Though I heard a rumor that you could embed the ambient occlusion in like the alpha channel of your diffuse texture, or no, in like, okay, your normal only uses blue and red. It doesn't use green. So I think what I heard was if you embed your ambient occlusion in the green of your normal, Second Life notices it. Now, I haven't tested that, but someone told me that, so don't quote me on that. But anyway, most people bake it onto the diffuse. They blend the AO with the diffuse to get the shadows from the AO included in the diffuse. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to come over here to our designer. So we have, oh no, I want to go back to my leather. I don't want this anymore. That go everything up to here. Okay, delete that. Delete that. Delete that. Delete that. Delete that. Delete that. Okay, back to my safe. Then I want to have a bitmap of, is it this one? Oh. Did I delete it? I bet I did. But it was this one. We connect in there. But I think I had this set to 4 at the time. Oh, this should not be 512 by 512. 2048 by 2048. And then this one I think we had set to 4. That's right. That's what we had. All right. Okay. So that's back. But now I want to make my diffuse. So that's going to be another output node. So we're going to create a new output node. And I'm going to call it diffuse. Right? And we're going to set the add item down here for usage. And it's going to be RGBA, and we're going to call it diffuse, and it's going to be used for, oh, that's right, it's used for diffuse. That's it. Right? So we have our diffuse out here. Now, we can just take this base color and stick it in there. And then it's exactly the same thing we have right now. Instead of base color, we have it in diffuse. But diffuse needs to also carry with it this information. So we want to blend this with this. And so for that, you need a blend node. Blend. So we're going to take the output of here into there. And then we're going to take the output of this. Oops. Let's go. Let's move you up here to here. Again, it's giving me the same thing where this is grayscale and it expects color. So we have to do the gradient map. Which is right there. We'll connect that to the gradient map, connect that to here. All right. And then in the blend mode, we'll do multiply. And then the output of that will go there. And there it is. This is what we would produce in Photoshop using a layer, 2 layers, and the multiply blend mode between the 2 layers with the AO and the texture. We would do the same thing to get this. Okay? Okay. So I think the repeat was at 4. I'm not 100% sure if it was. If this doesn't look exactly right, then we'll know. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save this as brown leather diffuse. Then we'll go back here and we will do build, upload, image, brown leather diffuse. Oh, sorry, it's not brown leather diffuse, it's brown leather seat diffuse. So I'll rename that in here. Brown leather, rename, brown leather seat diffuse. And then I can go ahead and just drag that on here in place of what's there. And now it looks way better. Let me check the granularity on that. I think it's the same. Yeah, it is. Yep, looks the same. But this looks like leather, and this doesn't. That's because this has a shine to it, and this doesn't. So we need to get a specular that has a shine to it. And now I kind of want a uniform shine over everything, but I want some of these ridges to be maybe shinier. So what I can do is I can take my I'm going to add a specular map, add node, output. And we're going to call it specular and set the add item to grayscale. There is no grayscale. We'll just call it specular. There it is, specular. All right. Now, I want kind of a gray version of this output like this one. Now with specular, dark is matte and light is shiny. So I want to take a blend node. Do I want a blend node? No, I'm just going to take this and try to use it. Let's save that and try it. This will be called brown leather seat specular. We'll do build, upload, image, brown leather seat specular. We'll upload that. Select all three of them and apply specular. Then take a look at it. It's not terrible. It doesn't look the same, but it's not terrible. So let's try adding a levels on that. So we can adjust the output. Like so. And then look at that. And I can adjust the levels here. Like I could make that the whole thing a bit grayer that way. It's darker. If I pull this one. Black becomes less shiny, so that's not what I want. That really lightens the whole thing up. That's better. I think that's better. So let's try that. Just rename the base specular. I'll just use the same one. Okay. All right. Now we'll try it again. Build, upload, image. Same one. Brown leather seat specular. And then we'll try it. Oops. Edit. Select face, this one, and this one, and then we'll drag that in like so. And look at it. Ta-da! Now it looks way better. Okay. Now that was for this part. We need to get it for this part too. So to get that, all we need is the other ORM. No, this is not PBR. We need a new base color. and a new normal. Okay. Oh, the normal doesn't matter. I could have taken see how I have this input going into this grayscale converter into the normal? I could have moved that from here to there, and then this would have all of that data in there as well. But I don't want to do that because I want it to be uniform. This creates false depth. The AO causes this to have false depth, which I don't want. So I want that to be uniform flat across the whole surface. So this is right. Okay. So what do I need to change? I just need to change the base color. The normal will be the same. All right. So to change the base color, I need a different AO to go into this input, which would be this one. Come on, get in there. And then look here. And there we have it. So we'll save that as base color. No. Base. All right, it's brown leather. Brown leather base. Base color. Like so. And then I'll point out one other thing that's different between the two, and this is something you see a lot. Has to do with adding a darkening tint to the PBR, to the base color, to the Blinn Phong, to make it look the same. So, okay, we're going to go back, or close to the same. So we'll go ahead and we'll try that and see. Build, upload, image, brown leather base color. And then we will edit that. Select the face on this one. And then we will put the new base color on there. And then while we're at it, we'll add the specular that we did too. Because the specular doesn't need the AO, it's uniform. And there we have it. So this is our chair done in Blinn Phong materials. Right? This is our chair done with PBR materials. And then what you can do, this is what I was talking about, you can take this, select all your faces, except for the one on the ground, which we don't need, and just apply a little bit of a gray. Like so. Darkens it up a bit. Makes it look a little more natural. And there you go. So, now, what do we have? We have, to conclude, a designer setup that allows us to create all of the materials that we need for both Blinn Phong and PBR from the same Substance Designer graph here. And really all we end up doing is dragging in materials and connecting them. We built half of this while we were working on this video, right? So once this is set, you don't need to do that anymore. All you're going to need to do in the future to use this is bring in your AOs, bring in your textures, link them up, and export the output files. And you'll be done. So anyway, I'm tired. I've been at this for a couple hours now, and I'm going to go ahead and save this and post it so you guys can watch it. I will be saving this thing out on my Google Drive, and I will provide it free of charge, a link to it in the PBR materials group for people to use who have Substance Designer and want to do this technique. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Feel free to be critical of my knowledge of Substance Designer. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you like this approach. Let me know if you agree that this is a godsend and a labor-saving thing, and it ends up making really nice looking materials really, really easily without having to use any other tools. You just this and Second Life. You don't need Photoshop, you don't need GIMP, you don't need anything, you don't need whatever. Anyway, if you like this video, please hit like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and to help me out, it really supports me. And then ring the notification bell so that you can get notified when I put out these videos. But I'm tired. This was a long one, and I appreciate you. If you stuck around the whole time, let me know in Second Life. Say, hey, I watched that whole 2-hour video. Anyway, we'll see you guys next time.